It's a Minimalist Monday edition of Optimal Living Daily, episode 668, The Truth About Minimalism. It's Not About Stuff, by Brian Gardner of NoSidebar.com, and I'm Justin Malik. Happy Monday, and welcome to Optimal Living Daily and the Optimal Living Daily Podcast Network, where we narrate thousands of blog posts for you for free. And today's is a post from Brian Gardner, the creator of a really popular minimalism and simplicity blog called No Sidebar, a reference to the bar you usually see along websites on the right side most often. My site has one of those, but I'd like to do a redesign soon. Anyway, before we get to it, thank you so much to FreshBooks for helping out and keeping this podcast running. If you're a small business owner or freelancer, you got to try out FreshBooks for their invoicing, time tracking, expense tracking, all of that. FreshBooks makes it really easy to do all those things. You can try it out for free for a month, no credit card required. Just come by freshbooks.com/living and let them know that I sent you. But for now, let's hear today's post as we optimize your life. The Truth About Minimalism. It's Not About Stuff, by Brian Gardner of NoSidebar.com. I want to get something off my chest. This might be wildly unpopular, but here goes. Minimalism is not about stuff, not your stuff, or not my stuff. Decluttering stuff, getting rid of things we no longer use, don't need, or simply have too much of, is part of the process, but does not define the process. Here's what I mean. Minimalism for the sake of minimalism is only a temporary solution to a problem I feel is much bigger than what we own. I love what Lisa Aveillon of Simple & Soul says, quote, "Minimalism isn't about your stuff, it's about your soul, the you underneath all of the stuff," unquote. One of the biggest mistakes we make is that we think there's a concrete definition of what minimalism really is. Is there really a quantitative method of establishing if a person is or isn't a minimalist? Here's how the minimalists define minimalism. Quote, "Minimalism is a tool that can assist you in finding freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from worry, freedom from overwhelm, freedom from guilt, freedom from depression, freedom from the trappings of the consumer culture we've built our lives around. Real freedom," unquote. Their definition classifies minimalism as a noun rather than a verb. They consider it a thing rather than an action. Minimalism isn't a destination. It's the vehicle that takes us to the destination, a simpler, happier life. The truth about minimalism. I believe there is no right or wrong way to do minimalism. There's no right or wrong way to be a minimalist either. I realize there's a whole lot more to the conversation than that, so I want to share what I think minimalism is. Based on my experiences, here are 5 truths about minimalism. Number 1, minimalism is a tool. Quote, "Minimalism is a tool to rid yourself of life's excess in favor of focusing on what's important so you can find happiness, fulfillment, and freedom." The Minimalists. In my opinion, this one is pretty self-explanatory. The image some people have of a minimalist lifestyle is giving up all of the modern conveniences of the world. They imagine living in a cabin in the woods without electricity, a wood-burning stove, and a bathroom you have to go outside to use. Being a minimalist means you value yourself more than material things. It means making decisions based on what you need instead of getting everything you want. It does not mean the things you buy are cheap. It means they are something you need regardless of how much they cost. Minimalism can be the bridge which helps span the gap of where you might be in your journey and the place you want to be. Number 2, minimalism is a mindset. Quote, "Owning less is great. Wanting less is better." Joshua Becker. This is a tough one for me, and I suspect for countless others. I think it's easy to think that if someone gets rid of X amount of things or removes X amount of things from a calendar, they've achieved minimalist status. The truth is, minimalism is about the desire for less rather than having less. There have been a few times that I've thrown something out, given something away, or gone without, only to realize that my heart wasn't in that choice. I want to set my sight on a life of wanting less rather than owning less. Number 3, minimalism is an accountability partner. Quote, "Here is a secret to subtraction. It doesn't matter what you remove. What matters is that you stop adding it back." Aaron Lochner. How many times have you given away a bunch of clothing only to go back out and buy some more? I don't know that it happens immediately. I suspect I am not the only one who's chosen to give away 5 pairs of jeans only to replace them with more pairs of jeans. It's been a while since that has happened to me, but these days I'm trying my best to really be intentional about the things I declutter. I'll ask myself, why are you putting this item in a bag? Are you sure you don't need this, and will you miss it if it's gone? Can someone else use this more than you can? When I spend time to actually think through what I am doing, it allows me to process the feelings I have or don't have about a particular item of clothing or something in the house. And when I do make the decision to part with it, I make myself a promise that I won't go out and replace it. Number 4, minimalism is a metric. Quote, abundance is a full heart, not a full house. Courtney Carver. I've been really fortunate over the past couple of years to realize just how much this is true. After building a 4,000 square foot home and coming to terms that I'd be just as happy or even happier in a smaller one, I knew I'd started to figure this minimalism thing out. My heart is so full these days and has nothing to do with what I own or don't own. It has nothing to do with where I live, what car I drive, or the types of clothing in my closet. It has everything to do with being intentional with the time that I have and experiencing the joys of living a quiet life. I love what Katrina Kennison shares in her essay, Why You Must Have Time Alone. Quote, in solitude, we see more clearly. Alone, in moments of prayer or meditation, or simply in stillness, we breathe more deeply, see more fully, hear more keenly. We notice more, and in the process, we return to what is sacred, unquote. Number 5, minimalism is freedom. Quote, white space is where the magic happens. Brian Gardner. I'm a huge fan of white space. It's really that simple. As a creative, I find myself drawn to less. Whether it be fewer words on a page or less clutter on a website, I just enjoy the comfort in not feeling overwhelmed. White space applies to our everyday life. It allows us to grow, to see things we have missed, and it gives us the chance to prioritize our life. When we prioritize our life, we begin to really experience an understanding of the things that do matter and the things that don't. You just listened to the post titled The Truth About Minimalism It's Not About Stuff by Brian Gardner of NoSidebar.com. And once again, I'm really grateful that FreshBooks has sponsored this episode, which means they are responsible for keeping this running. FreshBooks is a cloud accounting company that makes it really easy for small business owners to do the annoying things that we have to take care of, like invoicing, time tracking, expense tracking, and more. Exactly what you need to bill customers and receive payments and track it really easily. I personally have been tracking all of my expenses, every single penny, for over 7 years, and I've been doing it with a spreadsheet. But when I saw how easy it is to use FreshBooks, I was really sad that I didn't know about them before. I love their expense tracking. You can use their app so that I don't have to save the receipt and enter it in later. And you can even organize receipts by taking pictures. All in the app, which then connects to your online account, so you can use it either in the app or on the computer. You gotta try it out. You can get all of their features for free for a month, no credit card required. Just come by freshbooks.com/living. And when they ask you how'd you hear about us, put in Optimal Living Daily. I like today's post because the complaint I see about minimalism is that it's too extreme, but it doesn't have to be like that. To me, it is more of a mindset than anything else. It's not about decluttering or design. It's just being conscious about excessive consumerism or consumerism just for the sake of it. If something adds value to your life, but it doesn't for me or anyone else, who cares? Personally, I imagine living in a larger than average size house if I can, because I like space, and I'm not going to cram that extra space with stuff. Just the space itself adds value to me, whereas a tiny house, although cute, would make me claustrophobic. So live however you like, but you can still be a minimalist, or at least a minimalist in training like I call myself. All right, enough from me. That'll do it for today. Have a great start to your week, and I'll see you tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.
Hey, this is Dan from the Optimal Finance Daily podcast, which is a lot like this show, except more focused on personal finance. Justin handpicks the best posts he can find from blogs and authors like Ramit Sethi, Mr. Money Mustache, and more, and I read them to you 5 days a week. So if you enjoy this podcast, come on over and subscribe to Optimal Finance Daily too. And together, we'll optimize your financial life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.